everyone. I'm home again for the third time. Third time's the charm, right? So, I just got home yesterday from the hospital, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my last two hospitalizations, because I didn't make a video after my second one because I was only out for 6 days before my third one. So I was going to kind of combine the two and make a little video just kind of about what I learned or what it's like being in the hospital, basically. What happened first when I got to the hospital was we went to this place called the Crisis Admissions Unit, where they basically assess you and where you're at, and then you go to a CAU bed, which is another unit that is basically a holding unit that you go to before you move to the final unit. The CAU is much better than the ER because you get to start your therapy and you get to start talking to the psychiatrist there, and like it's super helpful, and you are allowed to wear your own clothes, so you don't have to like wear paper clothes and sit in the ER and wait for a bed. At the CAU, I wasn't even there for a full day for my second hospitalization, but for my third one, I was there for 1 day. It wasn't a long wait. It was just you wait there and start talking to the doctor down there and do groups down there while you wait for bed to be available. So I was in the young adult unit for the last two hospitalizations because I just turned 18. So I was in the adolescent unit in November, but I like the young adult unit more. You have a lot more freedom. So when I got up to the young adult unit, what happened was right away they increased the medicines that I was on. I was on Geodon and Prestige, and they increased both of them. And so I was really tired, but it felt like it was working a little bit. And then as the days went on, I wasn't as tired. Like by my third or fourth day, I felt like the increase had worked, and so they were already looking for my discharge on day 6. Like I was only there for 6 days, and then they were like, yeah, you can go home, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to go home. But then they were like, you're not going to be ready no matter what. I was like, I guess you're right. Like I guess I'm going to be scared to go home no matter what. But I didn't realize how truly scared I was. Right away after I got home after the second hospitalization, I wasn't feeling well. I was sad, and I felt like hurting myself. I felt like someone was going to hurt me. I was paranoid, and I was still hallucinating. I thought that my hallucinations had gone away, which they had gone away in the hospital. So I was like, maybe they are going away this time. But it turns out that the increase caused more damage than benefits. So after 6 days home, we went back to the hospital, back to the CAU, and spent a day in the CAU and went back to the young adult unit. Once I got back up to the young adult unit, they changed my medicine, and they took me off of Geodon, and I stayed on Prestige, and then I got on Abilify and Seroquel. So 2 antipsychotics and an antidepressant. And I still was on Geodon for a little, like, while they were taking me off of Geodon, they put me on the other medicines, so I was on 3 antipsychotics, and I had a whole bunch of side effects. So my side effects were way out of control for the first few days that I was there. So I was not sleeping because of my side effects. I was not able to stay awake. I was not able to pay very good attention. But eventually my side effects were off. Some of the side effects that I did have from a combination of medications, it could have been from either of them, either of the new medicines, but it was like uncontrollable shaking, lots of involuntary muscle movements and muscle stiffness, increased heart rate, drowsiness, dizziness. It was not fun. But almost right away, the side effects hit me. But then a few days later, when the side effects started to get better, I definitely felt better. My mood was better, and my hallucinations weren't there. My hallucinations haven't been there since I started Abilify and Seroquel. So hopefully the medicine is doing what it's supposed to do. It's a tiring process, but my side effects have gotten much better. I have to be really careful with the medications that I'm taking, because now I have a risk of like a compromised immune system and scary things like increased blood, like the blood sugar count could be like super high, and also it could mess with like my white blood cell count, so I have to get my blood tested every 3 months, which is not exciting, but I mean, I gotta do what I gotta do. Moving past my medications and my side effects and my terrible sleeping, some of the things that I did while I was at the hospital was you play a lot of card games and you color. And I have my paint by sticker book that I did some. And you just like get the chance to talk to people that you really can relate to. You can't talk to them outside the hospital, but while you're there, you get to have some really good conversations with them. I really just enjoyed like walking around the halls with the people that I met there. Like, it was a good time. Like, just to have other people there that can relate directly to what you're going through is really helpful. We would do 4 groups a day. 2 of them were goals groups, where you the first goals group is kind of how you assess how you're feeling when you wake up and set a goal for the day. The second goals group is at night, when you see if you like completed your goal and how you're feeling and everything. And then you do 2 other groups about various topics, like emotion regulation and just learning to deal with stress, like learning to deal with how you're feeling. Those are helpful, where you learn strategies and DBT therapy strategies to get through stressful situations and get what you want respectfully, and like learn to cope with your situation. There's not really much else to the hospital besides you get to visit with friends and family. There's like 2 hours from 5:30 to 7:30 that you get to visit with all the people that care about you, and they come and get to hang out with them and play games and eat dinner with them. The food there is really mediocre. There's sometimes when I can tolerate it, but other times I'm like, wow, this is not good. So I always liked when my family and friends would bring food to visiting hours. The hospital is a really safe place. Like, it's not terrible. Like, I was terrified to go the first time, but it's really not a scary place. It's a really safe place, a really kind of fun place. It's actually the least stress that I'll ever feel, and it helps me. Okay, hello, Mom.
Hi.
The hospital just made me feel a whole lot better. I'm starting the day hospital tomorrow, which is when you just go from 8:30 to 2:30, or like 9 to 3-ish. You get there around 8:30, and it goes until between 2:30 and 3. And you just do the same groups and skills and practice that you would do inpatient, but you get to go home after. And then they still monitor your medicine and how you're doing and keep up with you and everything. But that's what I'll do for a little while, just to make sure that everything still stays good. On another note, while I was at the hospital, I found out about my puppy. My puppy was born, and one of these puppies right here will be mine. Aren't they cute? Yes, they are. If you have any good boy names, because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl that I'm getting, you should comment the boys' names down below. I already have my girl name picked out, but if you have any good ideas for boy names, if it happens to be a boy, then I need some good names. Right now, the name that I'm going with is Shepherd because I was at Shepherd Pratt when I found out that I was getting a puppy. And also, you can name it after Dr. Shepherd from Grey's Anatomy. It just works out like that. All right, I wanted to just kind of update everyone about how I was doing. I'm glad to be home. I wasn't ready to be home after my second hospitalization, but after the third one, I was ready to come home. I'm so glad to be sleeping in my bed again. It's fun to be home, and I'm glad that I get to see my friends and everyone soon. I'll be back to school in like a week or so, maybe a little longer, who knows. But yeah, everything's working out right now, and I hope that it continues to be that way. Thank you for listening to my story. As always, see you later.